Hi, I'm Kate. This is my channel, and this is my top 5 Wednesday video for the 6th of December. It's a little bit late. Bookish things you're a Grinch about. And there is a little side note in this title to say things, to specify things that are a little bit petty and don't really matter. So, in no particular order, my top 5 things are 1. Book series covers and book series sizes that don't match. This is purely aesthetic when it's on the bookshelf. When you've got like a big version of the first book and a little version of the second book and a big version of the third book, that drives me bonkers when you're trying to like shelve them and make things all fit and they're all different, but they have to go together because of the same series. Also, when you get different editions of the same series, or when you're buying books as they come out, halfway through the series, they change their style, they change their format, they change the look, they change the cover artist or something, and they don't match and they don't look like a series anymore. Why would you do that? Why? It drives me nuts. And like, it doesn't matter what you're reading, it doesn't affect your enjoyment of the book itself. But when you go to put it on the shelf and they don't sit nicely together, they don't look nicely together, that drives me nuts. I hate it. Slightly related is number 2, which is shelving children's picture books. If you have kids or you work in early childhood education / childcare, like I do, and you will have a lot of children's books and you have to figure out how to shelve them. Children's picture books don't have a couple of uniform formats. They're like really tall, they're really long, like deep, they're thick, they're thin, they're short, they're tiny and skinny this way. You can't see them from side on. When you put them in the shelf, like you can't like see them like this because they're so skinny unless they're board books. And then, which is fine because if you're like working in childcare, you want the books cover out because kids can't read. They don't know what side of the book is. They want to see the picture, so they recognize the front cover, so they recognize what book it is when they're choosing what book they want to read. But that has got its own issues because then you need a lot of flat space. Shelving children's picture books is a nightmare unto itself. Like, it's so hard. I have like a couple of dozen picture books as part of my personal collection. And figuring out how they're going to show, especially when they're too tall to fit in the shelf and you've got to lie them flat. I hate it. Like, it's a nightmare trying to figure out how you're going to shelve these books. So, that's number 2, shelving children's picture books. Number 3, first person. I don't mind first person when it's done really well, but when you start a book and it's all I, it's just like, you have to be a really good writer and you have to be writing about a really compelling character for me to get on board with your first person narrative. It's ridiculous. First person is terrible. And I honestly think that's why I have so much issue with reading YA, is because most of it is in the first person and I just can't. For the most part, I just can't do it. I would rather read an entire book in second person than an entire book in first person. And I know how much people hate second person, but when second person is done right, it's amazing. Like, amazing. Like, what was it? The Broken Earth trilogy by N.K. Jemisin, where sections are written in second person. I was like finished the first book before I realised that a good third of that book was written in second person. I just didn't notice because it was done so well and it made so much sense. My cat's losing his mind. What a nut job. So yeah, I would rather read an entire book in second person than one in first person. So I have issues with first person. Big time. I hate it. Okay, so number 4 comes in 3 parts. So number 4 is blurbs. Blurbs on books, like this is what the book is about on the back of your book. So the first part of why I hate blurbs is blurbs that give everything away. Why would you do that? Why would you tell me everything that's going to happen on the back of the book? You need to tell me just enough that I'm interested. Just enough that I go, ooh, interesting. What's that about? Not that I often read blurbs anymore, because I'm often buying books based on recommendations or reviews. But still, like, your blurb has to be decent. Like, you can't give everything away, because then I don't need to read your book. Second part of that is, these blurbs that are completely misleading, that tell you that the book is going to be about this one thing, and then that's like either a tiny bit of the book, or it's got nothing to do with anything. Again, why would you do that? It's false advertising, guys. False advertising. Get your crap together and tell me what the book is actually about. Tell me something interesting about the book. And the third part is blurbs that are not blurbs. Blurbs that are quotes. Blurbs that are just other writers saying how great this writer's last book was. That's fabulous, but if I wanted to know how great their last book was, I would read their last book. Or even, oh, this book blew my mind. I'm like, I'm so glad that, author X likes author Y's book, but, like, what is it about? Like, I don't mind having a few of those quotes around on the covers, but when it's in place of a blurb, again, not helpful. So one of my bookish pet peeves is blurbs. For the most part, they kind of suck. And my final thing that I'm a Grinch about is the fact that most of my local libraries, pretty much every library that I've ever attempted to borrow books from, doesn't really stock books that I'm interested in. I would love to go to the library more regularly. I would love to be involved in my local library. I feel like it's a good community centre. I want to support my local libraries. I like the idea of not having to buy all my books because it gets really expensive. I like the time constraint that, you've got the book for this amount of time, and I can't borrow too many because I can't read them all in that amount of time. So borrow it, read it, return it. Borrow it, read it, return it. I love these concepts, except for the fact that for the most part, they don't have a lot of books that I'm interested in. I like a lot of weird, non-mainstreamy, not because, I'm so, like, cooler than everybody else, but this is just what I happen to like, and for the most part, local library doesn't have it. And approaching the librarian about buying it feels like one step too many when I'm not really part of the library community yet. I feel like if I was a regular at the library, I would be much more confident in requesting these things, but because I don't go, I can't request, and because I can't request, I don't go because they don't have what I want. It's a vicious cycle. But for the most part, yeah, they don't have what I'm after, and I would love to use the library, but they can't have everything, and that sucks that they can't have everything, because in my head, the perfect library is like the library from Beauty and the Beast, and Belle goes in there, and she's got everything. And I just imagine, because it's a magical library, that any book that she wants will just appear. And it doesn't matter if it hasn't been written yet. It's there because it's magic. That is the perfect library, in my opinion. And why doesn't it exist yet? So that has been my top 5 Wednesday bookish things I'm a Grinch about. And I'm not entirely sure that all of that made sense, but that's what I'm a Grinch about. My name is Kate. This is my channel. Thanks for watching.